Hi, I'm Adam Dohl.
Hey, Adam.
Rafael, I got a question. Do you think that the historical context in which a city or state develops has a significant impact on the status of the state in the present day?
I would generally, I'd say that's probably true.
Okay, well then why did you reject the explanation for the South being poor due to Reconstruction?
I think time has passed. That's what I think.
Okay, so how much? Okay, so
Time has
how
passed from the
long
Civil
will?
Rights Act too.
Well, hold on. Okay. So black people were freed from slavery
Hmm.
prior to Reconstruction.
Okay.
That's obviously true. That's necessarily true. Given that, has enough time passed for black people to no longer be burdened by the historic events of slavery in the U.S.?
I'm not sure. I'm not making the claim. I'm not making the claim that that's the reason that the states are in the dire strait that they are. That's your claim. I
Well,
don't know.
no, hold on. I did not make that claim. I'm asking you for your claims because I'm seeing what appears to be a contradiction. Because earlier you actually asked Andrew if Andrew thought that the status of black people in the U.S. has that their previous status as slaves that contributed to their current status, and it sounded as if you agreed with it. Do you not believe? Do you not hold the position that the current status of black people in the United States is significantly contributed to by the historical fact of slavery in the United States?
I do think that is a factor to the economic status of a lot of black people in the country. Yes.
Okay, so do you think, okay, so now let's talk about an event that happened after slavery,
Okay.
Reconstruction. So do you
Okay.
think the economic status and demographic status of the South was
Hmm.
influenced by the events of Reconstruction?
Potentially, yes. I'll say yes.
Okay, then why the fuck did you challenge Andrew on this earlier?
What I'm saying is, okay, do black people typically vote red or do they typically vote blue in general?
They are the most monolithic demographic for voting blue. They're
Okay,
more
so
monolithic than
they
any
are
other
trying to
demographic.
change their economic outcomes in these states, and the Republicans that keep getting elected in are the ones preventing them from having a better economic outcome. That's my stance.
Okay, yeah. So this isn't actually addressing my point at all. But anyway, I have another question that somebody asked me to ask you. Um, so do you believe that an area that's full of crime and do you believe that if an area is full of crime and social unrest, that people would want to move in and raise a nuclear family there?
No, I think they have some hesitations.
Okay. Are you aware of the top 10 most, I'm not talking about overall crime, just talking about violent crime. Are you aware of the top 10 most violent cities in the US in terms of violent crime?
Are you looking at per capita? I want to clarify that before we go into it.
Yes, it's per capita. It's
I'm not
crime rate.
aware, but I'm not aware, but I like to hear them.
St. Louis, Detroit, Baltimore, Memphis, Kansas City, Milwaukee, Cleveland, Stockton. I've actually never heard of Stockton. Albuquerque and Indianapolis. Actually, I think that might be more than 10, but whatever. Point still stands. Which of those cities do you believe is not a Democrat city?
I have to see the list again, but a lot of them
Oh,
did
you don't
sound red.
remember off the top of your head? That's crazy.
Andrew, do you remember everything that you hear?
No, that was my point earlier in the debate when you were trying to use a cheap
Okay.
gotcha.
Okay. Um, I don't know, but none of those sounded like the major meccas that I we normally hear about. Maybe Detroit was in that list, but I mean,
Detroit is the second most violent city in the U.S. after
I
St.
I've
Louis.
heard that statistic for sure. I didn't hear Chicago in that list. Like so. I don't know what your point.
Well, my point is, it does not seem as if democratic leadership leads to a city becoming less violent. And if a city is more violent, then it is
Hmm.
less likely for people to want to raise a nuclear family there.
I
I
understand what you're
I
saying, but
believe
let's look
so
at
so
let's
so
look
so
at.
just to be clear, my
Hmm.
my serious position here is that
Yeah.
a failing to crack down on crime is a
Hmm.
disincentive to raise a nuclear family. It is effectively an anti-family policy to be soft on crime.
I
So
don't. Yeah.
any city that is soft on crime is inherently anti-family.
I don't disagree with that. I think there's why would a family want to raise in a high crime area? But you
Those are
listed
all
areas
leftist
that don't
cities.
have. No, they're not. And also,
Yes,
no, they're
they
not
are.
all left cities. No, they're
Which
not
one
all left
wasn't a
cities.
leftist city? Hold on.
Which
Which one
one?
was not a leftist city?
Hold on, list it again so I can write it down.
Okay, St. Louis, Detroit,
Hmm.
Baltimore, Memphis, Kansas City, Milwaukee, Cleveland, Stockton, Albuquerque, Indianapolis. And I'm actually going off of like the total number, so that might not have been.
Is Indianapolis blue? But anyway, that's beside the point.
Can you name one? Can you name one that's not a leftist city?
No, they sound leftist for sure.
Yeah, they sound leftist, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah, but what's the largest population of a Republican city?
I have no idea.
Neither do
I overall think that population numbers are rather immaterial to quality of life.
I think when you're managing large swaths of population, crime can be harder to manage than a lot of the things Republicans have ever had to deal with. For example, Jacksonville, Florida, which has a population of 949,000 people, is the largest Republican city. So
okay, so hold on. This is utter bullshit. And I'll tell you why this is utter bullshit. I'm looking at the population numbers of these cities right in front of me right now. And these population numbers range from just over 300,000 to nearly 900,000. So that's a very wide gap. That's a massive fucking gap. So to say that merely due to sort of presuppose that high population necessarily leads to high crime, that doesn't track. These are not arranged by population. The highest population one is Indianapolis, which is the least violent one on this top 10. And
so there must be some other contributing factor, Rafael. What would that be?
The thing that I'm trying to point out is that I don't necessarily think Republicans have a leg to stand on when they try to tell someone how to run a city, because they've never really done it.
Yeah, no, but what would the other contributing factor be then, if it's not based on population, as was just demonstrated to you? Would demographics have to do with it, do you think?
Economic factors, I have no idea.
Economic factors, like I pointed out.
Sure. Wait. Back up. You've spent like so fucking long in this debate talking about Republican cities, and now you're saying Republicans don't run cities. What the fuck is this?
I don't know.
Jacksonville is the largest city, and it's barely a city. Do you want to move to Jacksonville, Adam?
I know nothing about Jacksonville.
Nobody does, because it's the largest city Republicans run, because they don't know how to run cities.
Okay, so I have a question here. So why exactly is Jacksonville worse than these other 10 cities that I just listed? Because I'm actually going to try to find Jacksonville on this chart.
I love Adam. Why have you considered moving to Jacksonville?
Because
he hasn't considered moving to California, where you are either. How's that an argument?
So hold on. To be clear, the reason I've not considered moving to Jacksonville is because I'm happy where I'm at now, and where I'm at now is not Jacksonville. So I have no reason to consider moving if I have no desire to move in the first place.
Then why don't more people live in Jacksonville? It's a Republican city. It's cheap cost of living. It's got housing's more affordable there than a lot of places. Why aren't people living there? Why are people more?
Wait, hold on. What the fuck are you talking about? Every single thing you've said about these cities is complete and utter fucking bullshit. And I'm going to tell you right now. So Jacksonville is nearly 1 million people. What? You're saying Republicans don't run big cities? It's nearly 1 million people.
I said 949,000 people. That's what I said. That's nearly 1 million.
That's a fucking city. That's a city.
Okay.
That's not a small population.
City. Then why don't more people?
That is not a small city. That is absolutely not a small city.
Why are people? Jacksonville is a small city. Why are more people living in Jacksonville? Or why are more people living in Chicago than Jacksonville? It's a Republican city. It's a Republican state. Lower taxes, lower cost of living. Why are people living there?
Hold on. I'll tell you the reason. It's because of the historical economic context of the buildup of Chicago over time and previous policies that led to Chicago getting bigger in the past. You already admitted that this is a valid reason to think that something was built up over time. It has to do with the previous economic status. So hypothetically, imagine in your brain, if Jacksonville implemented all the perfect policies to make it hypothetically as big as Chicago in the future. Imagine they did it tonight. Would they immediately gain the population of Chicago?
No, because they don't have an economic drive.
Yeah. Okay. So even if you have
that's
the correct
it.
policies,
that's the argument.
Yeah.
So even if you have the correct policies, it takes time and things happen over periods of time.
To generate the economic output of democratic cities, they would.
We got to cut it. We got to cut it there, Adam, so we can get the other callers through.
All right. So thank you for having me on.